Today I'm interviewing my grandpa. What's your name?
Mike Wizzardi,
All right. When were you born?
January 1947,
All right. Where was your hometown?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right. What are some occupations you had? Like, yeah.
Well, I was a teacher.
All
I was
right.
a history teacher and
Where?
political science teacher in Beloit.
All right.
Beloit Turner. That's familiar to you guys. I was assistant principal at Greenfield High School in Milwaukee. And then I was principal at Evansville. And then I've been superintendent of schools for 25 years,
All right.
most of which were in West Bend.
All right. Growing up, who was your best friend?
My best friend was a guy named Tex O'Keefe. His real name was Dennis, but everybody called him Tex.
All right. What things you like to like? What games would you like to play growing up?
I played football and I played baseball. I was a catcher in baseball.
All right.
So we played football and baseball as our sports in high school, and then I did some of the plays too.
All right. What plays did you do?
We did some what were called one-act plays, a whole series of them, 3 one-act plays.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother, yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Steve.
All right. Did you ever play any tricks or pranks on your teachers?
Well, our high school was out in the country, and next door to the high school was a farm. And I was driving to school in those days, and I had 3 other guys in the car. We stopped and picked up a chicken that was beside the road. We didn't hurt him, we just picked him up and put him in the car. And then the 4 of us kind of gambled or, got together so that they couldn't see him. We walked him into the school. And then we put him in our friend's locker. He had those twist, dials. So we put the chicken in there, and then we all just stood around waiting for him. He came and opened the locker, and his chicken goes flying down the hall. And this guy jumps back, feathers everywhere. We got in a little trouble for that one.
So what was your favorite type of music?
Pardon me?
What's your favorite type of music?
Music.
Yeah, your favorite type.
I like all music. I really do. I mean, at home, I have classical, I have country and western, I have rock. I just like all different sorts of music.
All right. What are your favorite songs?
Well, I don't even know if I have any. Probably my favorite songs are more classical pieces. Rhapsody in Blue, Clair de Lune, some of the old classical songs.
Yeah. Who were your heroes growing up?
My heroes growing up, well, one of my heroes were simply the soldiers, because I just came out of that World War II era. I was born just as the war ended.
Yeah.
And so all those World War II guys, there were a lot of heroes in those wars. And so a lot of those were my heroes. And then there were baseball heroes. Like Jim Brown from the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
We lived in Cleveland in those days, and so I got to watch him play for the real deal with the Browns.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was a heck of a running back.
What were your favorite toys growing up?
I had all those all those plastic soldiers,
Yeah.
I had the whole Civil War set with the red or the blue and the gray. So I had all Civil War soldiers, then I had cowboy and Indian soldiers, and then I had World War II soldiers. So yeah, my collection of my soldiers, and I had a little fort. We had it all.
How much was a movie back then?
How much was it?
Yeah, to go to the movie theater.
I'm gonna say, I think I remember him giving me a quarter to go, and then there was this deal on Saturdays with the Seal Test Milk Company that if you brought the top to the Seal Test milk can, you could get in for a dime instead of a quarter. So we would have milk tops that we'd take to the movies.
What was your first job?
My first job was, Well, my first job out of high school was just to go to college, and then my first job was being a teacher at
Oh.
Beloit Turner. Yeah.
How much were you paid like when you like went to Floyd Turner?
I remember my first teaching contract, $6,900
That's a lot.
for the year. That's not very much for a year.
What did your parents do for a living?
My dad worked for the Elgin Watch Company, Elgin Diamond Watches. He sold industrial diamond.
Did you ever travel?
Oh yeah, we traveled, and I've traveled a lot. I've been in Spain and Portugal and Germany and Ireland and England, Jamaica, Dominican Republic.
What's your favorite country you've been to?
We had the most fun probably in the Caribbean with Jamaica and the Dominican Republic. Those were good vacations down there.
What did the milkman do?
Who?
The milkman.
The milkman.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
How did you view communism / like the Soviet Union during the Cold War?
Yeah, it was highly tense and highly dangerous. They're a true threat.
Yeah.
And there were times, of course, when we've been, like during the Cuban Missile Crisis, close to war.
Yeah.
You know? And so it has been very frightening.
How did you? What were your favorite TV programs?
Oh, let me think. And in the early days, like in my childhood, we were big on westerns. You know, it was Paladin and Gunsmoke, and geez, I don't even remember the names of all of them. But there were a lot of westerns on TV, and we watched those.
How did you view Elvis Presley?
I liked him. I always liked him. He was actually a good singer. You know? He had a lot of good stuff. I remember my dad, of course, all the older generation, you know, what the heck is that? You know, that's not really music. Yeah.
Was the Martin Luther King / civil rights movement talked about in your home or church?
Or yes, now I was involved in that, Isaac, because I was in Atlanta, Georgia, with the Vista Volunteers in 1967, and so I got to go to his church, Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. His dad was the main minister, but he was the speaker when we went there. He could rock the house. He was really good. So I got to see Dr. King speak, and I marched in Atlanta with him.
That's cool. What do you remember about the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Well, those were very tense days. I remember talking, I was in high school then, and or middle school, I guess. I remember talking with my friends on the phone because we were all kind of concerned about whether the world was going to blow up. You know? And it was kind of on the edge of that for a few days, so it was very tense.
What are your memories of the day JFK was assassinated?
Yeah, that was right at the middle of a school day. I remember us being in high school. That was 1968.
I think so.
Yeah, 68, I think. Yeah, I'm just stopping for a minute because that's not right. That was RFK that was killed in 68.
Yeah.
Kennedy was 63.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, because I was making myself too old there. I was like a sophomore in high school. And it was I just remember it being this stunningly frightening day. You know, it was unbelievable that a president like that could be killed. Yeah. That was pretty much the end of them riding around in, open cars. Ever since then, I don't think we've seen that.
How did your family view the war in Vietnam?
Differently. My brother Steve was in Vietnam. He was in the Air Force. So he was over there. And I was in college. But he didn't think much of it, I can tell you that. He thought it was awful over there. And recommended that I not go if I could avoid it, which I did.
How did you view the assassinations of Martin Luther King?
Well, the same way I remember that day very clearly, and those days just kind of like take your breath away. They stun you, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, how is that possible even? That was the most dramatic year, when you think of Dr. King and Robert Kennedy both being assassinated that year in the middle of the war, in the middle of the Johnson
Yeah.
election issues. Boy, it was a stun. 1968 and our last pandemic, COVID, I think are two of the worst times we've had, really,
Yeah.
in the country.
How did you or your family experience the race riots of 1968?
Yeah. Well, I had just finished by 68, I was back home from Atlanta. I'd been working in Atlanta in voter registrations. And so by 68, we were back at school and back. And, it's a complicated issue.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of support and a lot of understanding for the reasons that went on. I don't necessarily condone the violence,
Yeah.
but you understood the reasons, and there are legitimate reasons that those things occurred in occur still.
What was Woodstock?
Well, Woodstock was a summer music festival with a lot of the big names of that day, but it was basically out in a farm field. And it was called, the Summer of Love, and it was all the hippies, but of course it also rained, and it was a mud hole, and they ran out of food. So it was a happening, but it had its ups and downs.
Did you watch the moon landing?
Yes, yeah. I remember watching the moon landing in black and white. Of course, it wasn't on color, kind of fuzzy black and white. But yeah, it was stunning.
Yeah.
It was stunning.
What was the biggest invention you witnessed in your life?
Oh boy, biggest invention. I don't know for sure. The thing that surprises me, or stuns me the most with how far they come in general, is medical science. How far medical science has come. That people are surviving. The death rate or the death age average was about 65 when I was a kid. It's 80 now. That's for a reason. It's because medical science has done all this stunning work.
Yeah.
And people survive diseases that killed them 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Especially heart attacks and some forms of controlled cancer. So to me, one of the great inventions of the last couple decades has simply been advancements in medical science.
Yeah. What do you most miss about these times back in when you grew up? What do you miss most?
I think I miss most just having fun with my brother. He's gone now, and we did an awful lot together. And he was a pilot, so we flew. Even in high school, he was flying.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we'd go out and take a plane down to Illinois or wherever and land. It was fun. We had a lot of fun flying together.
Did your brother later in life? Did he ever become a pilot?
That's what he did for a living.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any wisdom to give about life?
I wish I did. I would say try and remember to calm, cool, in control. And there's that old Spike Lee saying, "Do the right thing." Do the right thing.
All right.